Jay wants one more shot at the tag titles. He says that they'll bring the titles back to the Bloodline if given the chance. Roman says, yeah, the titles will come back, but not with the Usos. Heyman then informs everybody that at Night of Champions, we will have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships, as Roman says that he will be dedicating the title win to the greatest tag team of all time, Alpha and Sika, the Wild Samoans. So obviously a whole lot of news coming out of this one, including Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn scheduled to make an appearance at a Saudi Arabia event. Roman won't be defending his singles championships on the 1000th day of his reign, and he'll be going instead for the tag team titles. What did you think of the segment, as well as some of the news coming out of this?
I liked the angle that Roman used about being offended that the Usos had not had dedicated their match to him. I thought that was a nice little flourish. I thought that this took a long time to get to where it was going. I didn't think it was bad. I just thought that there was a lot of it. And I did find that by the end, it's like, okay, we see where this is going. Move along. Roman's delivery continues to be very, very good. And, but I do sometimes feel it's like this could be a little sharper. This could be edited down a bit. Or at least, maybe he could just get to his points a little quicker. But that said, I mean, I think that obviously they're playing this whole thing. The story with the bloodline now is simply the conflict within it, and we shall see. I don't know who's winning that match in Saudi Arabia. My instinct would be to say that Sikoa takes the pin. But I don't know if I'd bet against Roman at this point. I was very damn sure that Cody was going to win. The last time I was on, I was talking about it like it was a done deal. So I guess, it remains open. I think that it gets difficult to pick a winner there. I do think that whatever the story is with the bloodline, it very quickly got hijacked by the real life the story, which is that Sami Zayn for the first time is being allowed into Saudi Arabia. It's an interesting thing because it was always framed that Sami, it was never an issue. The issue was never whether or not he wanted to go. The primary issue was that he simply wasn't allowed to go because of his Syrian heritage. Kevin Owens, I actually find interesting because with him, that was always framed as as an issue of conscience. So I would be curious to hear what he has to say about what changed his mind, because he was always allowed to go. He could have gone to any of these shows. He just chose not to, and now he is choosing to do so. And I would like to hear him talk about that. I would be very, very surprised if we ever did hear him talk about that.
Yeah.
But because with him, there was never any barrier to him going aside from his own beliefs, and clearly that has shifted.
I wonder how much of his beliefs might have been informed by his best friend not being allowed to go.
That could be, and that's I guess the fact that once that was lifted, he no longer had an issue with going to Saudi Arabia. That would indicate that probably was the major problem for him.
Yeah, it certainly makes you wonder, what behind the scenes, what exactly is the story here between Sami Zayn specifically and maybe his ability to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. Of all the scenarios that I could have seen, all four of these men that are in this match involved in or not involved in for this pay-per-view. I certainly didn't picture this one. This was certainly like a left field type of match that I did not expect, because I don't know how at this point you would escape something like this without Roman Reigns holding all the championships. And with the company that is already facing enough criticism of having too many titles and Roman Reigns holding too many of those championships, how are they going to escape this? I just don't see a result where Roman doesn't win, because how would they carry this story forward with Roman failing himself?
Well, but my thinking is that if they lose, he doesn't take the pin, Solo does. And therefore it becomes a story about Roman simply being disappointed in his entire family. That I think you could do that. But again, it's a loss on Roman's record. And
But Solo has been just as protected, I would say. You know,
other than it's just the loss to Cody.
That's
right?
it. They've been strapping a rocket on him, making him like, you know, pretty much completely undefeated. And I just don't know if I'd see either of them losing, unless it was some like, you know, major moment involving the Usos costing them, perhaps.
It would not in any way surprise me if they won the titles. I do wonder a bit about the optics of having Sami go over there for the first time and then having him lose. I don't know if that's going to keep anyone up at night, but I think that for a lot of fans, it's going to look weird. And a lot of fans are very, very aware that this is going to be the first time that he's over there, and that this is going to be, that there is a significance to him being able to appear there.
I suppose, like, when I think about, like, you know, maybe the sort of very like serious real life relationship between Syria and Saudi Arabia, I guess I don't know if like a scripted wrestling loss like will have that much effect either way. What I am curious about is if there's any, like, will the crowd treat Sami as? I think the crowd will treat Sami as a babyface. Will it be a similar level of reaction to what he's received elsewhere? I would think so, but I don't know. I really don't know. So this is all really interesting. The outcome of this one, I think, will be really interesting. Just kind of seeing some of the reactions will be really interesting. Do you see this as like, the other question is, if this 1,000-day thing is such a big deal for Roman, I mean, why wouldn't they have had him put the title on the line for this?
Honestly, because they don't have a good opponent for him.
I mean, it almost seems to me completely.
There's no one.
It just totally wastes the whole angle, really. Like the fact that he's a 1,000-day champion.
But is it any better if you just put him in there against some dude whose run you just threw together in a couple of weeks? I mean,
but it at least
done him versus Lesnar. They did him versus Logan Paul. They did. I mean, like, who are you going to throw in there? You don't really want to beat Cody again on a big stage, and so you're going to pair him up with Lesnar. You don't really want to burn someone who you might want to build up over a longer period of time, like Solo Sikoa, who could be a challenger to him. You've done Sami and Kevin to death with Roman. Like, who's there?
It's true that you're going to run into this issue with Roman, you know, for a long, long time. But at least putting him in a singles match with the title up for grabs puts that story in focus, or at least puts the reign in focus, so that you can have that big scene of him celebrating the 1,000. You know, after this tag team match, he might win the championships, but like, it almost seems like the 1,000-day reign is irrelevant.
But imagine him on celebrating his 1,000th day, with all of, like, with brand new titles. He's got all the titles. He is dripping in gold.
It's possible. It certainly is.